All right, Mushi, unless you have a request, we're gonna do the Marvel movies. Oh, this list is old, isn't it? 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe it's not old. It seems like there should be more than this. No, this is the list. Okay. I want to do them chronological. So, Iron Man. The first Iron Man. It's an A. It's not a perfect film, but it started all of this. And yes, technically, before the MCU, we had Blade, Blade 2, Blade 3. Blade 1, amazing film. Blade 2, maybe even better. Close. Blade 3, Trinity, it's okay. Not a great script. Not enough Blade in it. But those movies kind of help set the stage a little bit. And then when the MCU started this, Marvel Cinematic Universe, with the first Iron Man, I had a little bit of a view on the inside of this because I worked for Sega at the time, and we were putting out a game for Iron Man on the Xbox 360, PS2, PS3, and all sorts of platforms. The game it wasn't great. It was not a good game. But we got to have a little bit of a connection with Marvel. I was able to, when they were filming Iron Man 2, I was able to take a couple of my Amazon buyers on set when they were filming Iron Man 2. They were filming in like the office corridor, the one where Black Widow does her like flip and stuff. We weren't there that day. We were there the day when Mickey Rourke was filming a scene, which ended up as a deleted scene. It didn't make it in the movie, but. And then when they were done between takes, he went off screen and was hanging out with Ron Jeremy and 2 models. I'm not kidding. Who else in Hollywood is grosser than Mickey Rourke? It's got to be Ron Jeremy. Anyway, thought I'd share that story. First Iron Man, it set all of this up. Oh, the Blade movies are good cheese. 100% agree. Fun, good action movies, cheesy but fun. Okay, Iron Man 2 was the next one. Whiplash. So there's no Fs in here, and I don't think I would rank any of them as an F tier. Iron Man 2, I love the battle with Whiplash that happens at Monaco, and that whole thing when he whips the car in half, or the pieces off the car. There's some good scenes in Iron Man 2, but as a script, it's... Iron Man 3, where are you at? There it is. It's also a C. I'm sorry. I know some people defend it. The Shane Black script. Man, is it slow in the middle. Like, it has serious pacing problems. I love the ending when there's like 30 different Iron Man suits all flying around. Fantastic. At that oil rig. Love it. The ending is awesome. And the setup in the beginning is good too. Man, that middle third of that movie just drags. And the whole thing with Ben Kingsley, it's kind of funny, and you get to see 2 parts of him, but no. Not a fan of it, really. Hulk was in there, too. Sorry, Edward Norton. You were really nice. I got to meet you at the Blockbuster corporate office. You were super nice. And I like a lot of your movies. I don't think this was his fault. I just think it was not that great a movie. It just wasn't a great script. I'm sorry, Hulk. It's a D. It's a D. Thor. See, all of these are watchable. They're just not great. But Thor 1, it's okay. I think a B, it's not good enough to be a B. It's just not. Thor: The Dark World, probably my least favorite of the Marvel movies. It's watchable, but boy, is it a struggle. Again, really bad pacing problems with that. All right, I'm out of order here on all of these, but I will just start working on it. First Captain America, A. Pacing issues a little bit in the second half of the film. True. But you really feel for his character in the beginning. When he jumps on that grenade in that training scene in the beginning, the first time I saw it, I choked up a little bit. And it doesn't hurt that Sega, when I was at Sega, we actually had a really good Captain America game that came out. So that was cool. And dude, Chris Evans is amazing. How can anyone hate on Chris Evans? He's awesome as Captain America. That movie's very good. I'm sorry, that was Winter Soldier. I screwed up. Captain America the First Avenger is an A. Captain America Winter Soldier is S tier. I screwed up. See, I can't read these. Winter Soldier is one of, if not my favorite of the Marvel movies. It's almost like a spy movie, Jason Bourne type action film with espionage and then kick-ass action in the end. Civil War, it's also an S. I love the Captain America movies. I love them. They're my favorite of all of the side character type movies. They're fantastic. In Civil War, the last 45 minutes of that movie is incredible. The first 15 minutes or so with the was it Sokovia? That whole thing is amazing too. The middle is okay. They're setting up Black Panther and all that, which I'll get to that one in a minute, but yeah, the last 45 minutes of Captain America, so good. Miles, Thor 1 and Thor 2 are meh. Yeah, they're just not great. Thor Ragnarok, I'm putting it as an A, although it kind of lives between S and A for me. A rewatch, I was kind of thinking an S, and then I watched it a second time. I'm going to put it as an A, but it's a high A. It's a really good movie. They basically took the Planet Hulk comic series and turned it into a Thor movie. And, dude, Taika Waititi is a fantastic director. What We Do in the Shadows, one of the funniest fucking movies you'll ever see. Alright, did we put the first Avengers in there? It's an A. I used to think this was an S. And I'm not taking it down because of Joss Whedon. I'm taking it down because it's long. And some of the comedy in it is a little too forced. It's still a really good movie. And I saw that in the theater. I couldn't believe it because when I was at Sega and Marvel was telling us about how their plan is to have all these movies, all these characters, and tying into an Avengers film, and I'm like, this is insane. There's no way they're going to pull this off. It has been this 20-movie high-wire act that they pulled off. I don't know how they did it. I don't know how they did it. Avengers is fantastic. Ragnarok being A is fair. Thank you, Miles. I'm not being facetious when I say I value your opinions on these. I do. I've known Miles a long time. When we disagree on movies, it's usually pretty minor. Avengers: Age of Ultron. This was like a C or a D for me when I first saw it, and then I rewatched it. It is a much better film than I gave it credit for. It also introduces the Red Witch and Ultron, into Vision, and those characters are way more important later down the road. So having watched all the other Marvel films and then going back and rewatching Age of Ultron, I like Age of Ultron more. I do. It's the weakest of the Avenger films for me, of the four, so I'm spoiling it right there. But it's still a good movie. Maybe it's more like a C, but I do think it's better than the other three that are in C, so we're going to put it as a B. Avengers doesn't age well as some other flicks. Yeah, I agree. It's the pacing that gets me, and the whole, mind control thing. But some of the moments in that film, when Hulk grabs onto Loki and smashes him around, and then the callback in Thor Ragnarok when they do that, it's fantastic. Guardians of the Galaxy. It's an A. Guardians 2. It's a B. Almost a B minus. They got lightning in a bottle with the first film. It's, as far as graphic novels go, Guardians of the Galaxy Part 1 is... It's so good that it's criminal. The movie is way better than the graphic novels should be. Let me put just chatting in here, by the way, because we're just chatting. I'm not playing Rocket League anymore. Edit stream info. Ranking the Marvel, the MCU. No disagreements so far? Okay, Miles. We might have one or two here in a minute. Guardians 1 is great. Rewatches, it stands up. It's not perfect, but damn is it good. Guardians 2, still a good movie. And I think Age of Ultron and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 are both very watchable, flawed movies, but watchable and worth recommending for sure. Ant-Man. God, this movie, I like this movie. I like it. Paul Rudd. Who doesn't like Paul Rudd? Seriously, Paul Rudd is the most likable actor in Hollywood, I think, right now. I don't know how you hate on him. I don't. And again, the Marvel producers just doing a fantastic job with the casting. He's fantastic in the role. He's so good. I'll put Ant-Man and the Wasp as a B as well. It was a C, and then I rewatched it, and I would kick it up to a B. Ant-Man is fun. Yeah, it is. It's just a fun movie. It's a heist movie. Obviously, Michael Douglas is having some fun with the role. The second one's a little with all of the quantum realm thing. But again, that's setting things up for the later Avengers films. Having seen all that, going back to Ant-Man and the Wasp, I appreciate it more. They also had the setup with him going really big, which comes back into Civil War. So all of those callbacks make some of these films a little bit better. That's ultimately why the Hulk and Thor the Dark World, they're not really very good movies, because they don't have those callbacks and things that are really big callbacks. And there's some, but they're really minor. They don't stand out in my brain. Okay, Doctor Strange. Man, I'm going to put it as a B, but it's a strong B. Shouldn't be as good as it is. I think a lot of people would probably put this as a C, maybe even as a D. Benedict Cumberbatch, I'm a big fan of his. This is like Paul Rudd. Maybe Ant-Man's a B and maybe Doctor Strange is a C for most people. But for me, the leads in those films kick them up a notch. Also, you got Rachel McAdams in Doctor Strange. She didn't have much to do, but I love her. Who doesn't love Rachel McAdams? Would have liked to have seen what Edgar Wright would have done with Ant-Man. Yeah, you're a bigger Edgar Wright fan than I am. Shaun of the Dead, masterpiece, unassailable. Hot Fuzz, good movie, once was enough. So many people love that, and The World's End, they're perfectly fine movies. They're funny. They're decent. I have had no desire to watch those a second time. I haven't. I saw Hot Fuzz in a theater. I was like, yeah, that was all right. I get the callbacks to all the 80s action movies and stuff. It's totally cool. Edgar Wright, he made Scott Pilgrim, which is also a really good movie. And nothing against Edgar Wright. I don't have this deep nerd love for him that some other people do, like I know you do. Shaun of the Dead, fantastic. No, B is good. You're good with a B for Doctor Strange. Okay, all right. I figured you'd want me to take that one down a notch, because I'm putting Captain Marvel as a C. Sorry. I love Brie Larson in other things. I loved casting her in this role. She is stiff in the movie, and I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be, but I've never read the graphic novels. I don't know if her character is that cocky and smarmy and everything. It doesn't feel right for her in the other movies. I guess I brought in some baggage, but we went and saw that in the theater because I wanted to make sure that we had seen that before Endgame, because they dropped that on us like 2 months before Endgame, and I'm just like, I knew this isn't going to be out on digital before, so we have to go see it in the theater. Jude Law, come on, man. He doesn't need to be in the MCU. I mean, Jude Law, he obviously got a little cut. He obviously did some training work, lifted some weights. Jude Law does not. Come on. Jude Law doesn't need to be in the MCU. That's when I was like, come on. Why is Jude Law in this movie? Spider-Man Homecoming. S tier. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care. I need to buy this on Blu-ray, by the way. The reviews of it are okay. That the print on the 4K is all right. It's not great. I love Homecoming. I love that movie. It's fantastic. It's the right amount of comedy. Tom Holland is phenomenal. Like Peter Parker, having Tobey Maguire be Peter Parker, he was great. Andrew Garfield, we're not going to talk about those two movies. I like Andrew Garfield in some stuff, right? Hacksaw Ridge, fantastic. He's really good in that movie. He wasn't a good Spider-Man. I'm sorry, he wasn't. Tom Holland is the best. He is better as Spider-Man than Tobey Maguire was. Is that a hot take? Saw it in the theater, wasn't blown away with it. Good with this grade. Oh, you were talking about Marvel. Spidey, are you good with S for Homecoming? Because I'm putting Far From Home a lot lower. It's a C. That's probably the biggest disparity in all of these. It's okay. Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio? Like, I always picture Mysterio being a lot older. Maybe that's just me. I'm bringing baggage into it. He's fine in the role, but I read a lot of the Spider-Man graphic novels growing up, and they played the Mysterio plot twist as this big secret. I'm like, oh, he's Mysterio. Okay. So it took all the teeth out of the big twist that comes, because they act like no one knows this twist. I'm like, it's Mysterio. What are you doing? Like, okay, and I'm not a comic book nerd. I'm not. Like, there are some series that I read a lot when I was younger. Spider-Man's I've read probably more than anything else. I got in around the time that Venom was starting to take off. What a time to be a Spider-Man comic book fan, right? I guess the way they played it was so hardcore. This is a big twist, and they didn't even really hint at it. And I was just like, it pulled me out of it a bit. If I rewatch Far From Home, maybe it's a higher film. You haven't seen Far From Home? I can't tell you. You need to go see it. It's one of those where if it's on TV, I'll watch it. I think the Hulk film and Thor: The Dark World, I will borderline say they're not good movies. All the rest of these are okay to amazing. Spider-Man Far From Home, it's just okay. And I had higher hopes for it, considering how much I loved Homecoming. And by the way, Michael Keaton as Vulture. I don't want to spoil it if you've never seen Spider-Man Homecoming. When you find out his whole family connection, the way it's played, the music just drops out, and it's this conversation that he's having with Peter Parker. Oh my god, it's such a good moment. It's so good. I don't know comics enough to compare, sadly. Well, then you probably would enjoy Far From Home more. I probably spoiled it a bit there, and I'm sorry. I get the C grade. I would probably have gone B, but I wouldn't put a fight up on it. Okay, all right. And you know, that's the thing. I think a lot of these, you can move them up or down depending on the mood you're in. Or a rewatch, because like I said, if I rewatch Spider-Man Far From Home, it's not going to go down. It's probably going to go up. But I've only watched it the one time. I didn't have a desire to watch it again. I've watched Homecoming probably 4 or 5 times. And yes, it's kind of an Iron Man movie. I know. It's a little cheesy there. You never saw the Garfield Spidey. I saw both of them. Yeah. The second one I watched on a plane, and it had Jamie Foxx as a bad guy in it, and not the worst movie I've ever seen on a plane, but it was not good. If it was in this list, they're both D's. And again, nothing against Andrew Garfield. He's a perfectly fine actor. He's just not really Spider-Man material. No, the worst movie I ever saw on a plane was Avatar: The Last Airbender. It started up, and what I had on my iPad to watch was something I wasn't all that interested in, and I went, fuck it, I'm gonna watch this. And I could not take my eyes off of how horrible it was. Like, people talk shit on M. Night Shyamalan sometimes, and sometimes he deserves it. The Lady in the Lake or The Lady in the Water, that movie was terrible. Like, he dreams up a story to tell his kids as a bedtime story, and he thinks, oh, I'm going to make this a movie. Dude, check your ego. Right? I'm interested in seeing old, and that's the thing. A lot of his movies, I see the trailers, and I'm like, oh, I'm there. I like Split. I liked Unbreakable a lot. Unbreakable is one of my favorites of his. Sixth Sense, it's a fantastic movie, right? Like, I could rank the M. Night Shyamalan movies. The Village, trash. The Happening, I never even watched it. Everyone told me stay away. So anyway, I'm off on a tangent here. All I'm saying is, some of these movies would probably be higher or maybe one lower, but most of them aren't going to go down. They're only going to go up because watching them a second time or a third time makes them better. Lady in the Water was so weird. Keaton owns... Dude, Michael Keaton was so good in that movie. Spider 3. Yeah, there's already a teaser trailer out there with the 3 leads. So it's his friend and Mary Jane and him. Like the 3 of them are in high school walking by. And they're talking about how he spoils things all the time. Like Tom Holland spoils things or whatever. And then like they have the name of the movie behind them when they walk past it. It's pretty funny. Yeah, Lady in the Water was just... What was the point of that? Okay, finally, Black Panther. Listen. Chadwick Boseman was a phenomenal actor. He was so good in movies that he had no right to be as good in. Movies that you don't get. Who puts some who plays James Brown, right? James Brown was larger than life. He was a believable James Brown. I watched that movie, Get On Up, expecting to hate it. I love James Brown, right? Minus his character flaws. The music, the performances on stage, his performance at the Tammy Show, Google that. Go to YouTube, type James Brown Tammy Show, T-A-M-I. It is one of the best performances you'll ever see by like a solo artist. It is mind-blowing. And the Rolling Stones had to go on after him. James Brown said, I should be the last person on. And they were like, well, the Rolling Stones are blowing up right now. And the England scene is really big. This was like in the late 50s. And he was like, he went backstage and he goes, I'm going to make them pay. And he put on like a 20-minute set, blows the doors off the place. Just unreal. He plays 3 songs and it is so incredible. And then the Rolling Stones came out and they did their thing. Keith Richards said to this day, his biggest regret in the music industry is playing after James Brown at the Tammy Show. Sorry, I'm on a tangent. Trying to give props to Chadwick Boseman. All right, we'll call it a C. But man, it's not very good as a movie though. It's just not. It sets up Wakanda fantastically. It was. The cast is great. It's perfectly cast. The action in it is fine. I want to see what they do with the other movies. I know they're doing 2 more. And with his passing, I don't know what they're doing to change it up. Michael B. Jordan's great. Chadwick Boseman's fantastic. All the leads in it are fantastic. All the females that are in it, I can't name them, and I'm sorry if it makes me a bad person. The story itself is just really flat to me. Is this white guy being ignorant? I hope not. It didn't grab me. I'm sorry. Yeah, you were feeling controversy there, Miles? The way I was setting that up? Yeah. I was tempted to put it as a D, and I can't, because I watched it a second time, and it's better. It's not that I hate the movie. It's decent. And look, I have a friend who this movie means so much to him, because finally, almost everyone in the movie looks like him. And my friend his family's from Nigeria, and it's like, I totally get why he would make a personal connection to this movie. I'm just looking at it as a third-party outsider, and it didn't entertain me as much as I was hoping. The whole thing with the Killmonger and all that, it's okay. It's okay. We'll call it a C. And I'm sorry if that makes me a bad person. It's nothing against anyone in the movie. It's cast perfectly. All right. Am I done tripping all over myself? You like Black Panther, actually. It was a free watch in the library. I mean, it's not that it's a bad movie. I didn't feel the need to watch. I rewatched it, and it didn't really improve it a whole lot for me. But I understand the importance of it. I understand why so many people made a connection to it. I'm not trying to slight it by giving it a C. It's just my personal score. Oh, thanks, Moshi. Yeah, I talk more on these than I do on other things. When I'm streaming, because I'm focusing on, or when I'm gaming, I'm focusing on gaming. Yes, you get the significance of it. Absolute 100%. Unassailable. Okay, last 2. Avengers Infinity War. It's an S. It is the Empire Strikes Back of this entire cinematic universe. The only thing I would change about it, because none of these movies that are in the S tier are perfect. They're very close to perfect. But Infinity War, there's too much of Thor trying to make his new weapon. There's a little too much of that. And casting Peter Dinklage as this large character was a little too on the nose. Love Peter Dinklage. I've loved him since I saw him in The Station Agent, which is a little independent film that came out around 2002. Was like a Miramax movie. I was like, this guy's amazing, and it doesn't matter that he's a little person. He's just another person in the movie. I've loved him ever since I saw him in Station Agent. All the Game of Thrones, all that. It's just the only weak point of the movie for me. I thought it was a little too on the nose casting him as that character, and then the struggle and all that to build this new weapon. I also get why they wanted to do that, because it plays a big role later, but to me, that's the only part of the movie that I feel like skipping. Otherwise, from start to finish, it is fantastic, and the ending is a ginormous gut punch. I walked out of that movie, by the way. I saw that with my friend Donnie and Zach. Zach had rented out like 5 or 6, like pretty much a whole row of a theater, and just invited a bunch of friends to come see it. And Melissa was like, I don't care. I don't need to see it. She's like this with a lot of the Marvel movies. She was. She doesn't really care to go to the movie theater. She'd rather watch it at home. We got a big screen, right? We got the 4K player. But I walked out of Infinity War. I drove straight home. I hung out with Donnie and Zach and a couple of his friends for a few minutes. And I was like, I gotta go home. I go home. I go, Melissa, you're watching Infinity War. We're going to the theater and you're seeing it, because I can't not talk about this. And you can't have it spoiled, because you've watched almost all of these other movies with me. We're going to see Infinity War. So we went like the next weekend to Infinity War. And at the end, she had the same reaction I did. What the fuck? I'm like, I told you. She's like, okay, I get why you made me come and see this now. So Endgame is 3 hours long. And it is a great movie that is not quite up to par with Infinity War. The last 30 minutes is amazing. Perfect. It is exactly the payoff we'd wanted from almost 20 films. What a payoff. It's not quite perfect. It's an A. People audibly gasped and cried when I saw it in the theater. Miles, dude. Me and Donnie and Zach were all like, and Donnie is my friend, huge comic book nerd. He knew it was coming, but even the way they did it in the movie, Mr. Stark, I don't feel so good. He even was like, holy fuck, that was so good. And me and Zach were like, holy shit, he fucking killed half the people. We're freaking out. And even Donnie was freaking out, even though he knew that something crazy was going to happen. And he knew it was going to go dark. I say it's the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's a harder ending than anything in Star Wars or anything else. They just went, we are going to go super dark. By the way, I went and saw Endgame at the Alamo Drafthouse. Well, actually, I saw both of them at the Alamo Drafthouse. But Endgame, they had this cool thing where they had these jars with ashes in them. And it was the pictures. It was framed pictures of each of the Marvel characters that died at the end of Infinity War. But then they had Ant-Man with a question mark. Because, we knew he was in the quantum realm, but everybody assumed he was dead. It was so cool. I took a couple pictures of it. I'll have to go find them on my phone. Air was completely sucked out of the place at the end of Infinity War. 100%. You agree 100%. So you're with me? Infinity War S, Endgame A? And I've watched Endgame probably 4 or 5 times now because it's on TNT a lot. I've got the 4K. It looks fantastic. It looks crystal clear. You can reach in and grab it. I like when movies are that good to cause such reactions. That's why we go to the movies, right? To get that type of reaction. The end of Endgame is great, but over-the-top fan service to the point of being almost cheesy. You're not wrong. I don't care. That's the thing with it. When he says, assemble, that small part in my brain goes, cringe. The rest of me is goosebumps. With the hammer, if you're in the theater the first week that Avengers Endgame comes out, and a character catches the hammer who isn't Thor and swings the hammer around, I couldn't hear what was going on screen, because me and Melissa and my 2 friends that went with us and everybody else around us were like, yeah, fuck yeah, screaming our heads off like we're at a fucking concert. That is why I go to the movies, for stuff like that. Tiny bit cheesy, a little bit over the top, yes, but they had to pay it off big, and they did. No, that's good. As much as people flipped out at the end of Infinity War, they went ape shit at Endgame. It was the payoff that we'd wanted. And they earned that shit. It is an A tier for me, though, because... And this is just me being a little bit nitpicky. The time travel stuff is kind of good. It's a lot. And I like the scenes individually. Thor going back and talking to his mother. Good scene. Captain America returning back to the Winter Soldier scene when he says "Hail Hydra" in the ear. I was like, that's great. That's America's ass. Fantastic line. Stark going back and seeing his father. All of that, those are all good scenes, and I get why they're in the movie, but all of that in like a 45-minute to almost hour span, it's a lot to have all in that one shot, in that one chunk together. It just kind of, it slows the movie down a little too much. So I'm not complaining. They're all good scenes. I get why they're all in there. It just kills the pacing of the movie a little bit, and that's why it's an A for me. Yeah, so on 4K, I have the Captain America trilogy and Infinity War and Endgame. I bought the trilogy. It's in a box. I want to go get it. The trilogy is in a box set because I got it from the UK. And it's region free, so they all play on my Blu-ray player, my 4K Blu-ray player. And it's the same discs, basically, except they're technically from UK. But they never did a box set of just the Captain America movies. I don't want to buy the 20 movie box set. I already had a few of the other ones. I didn't want to buy a big ass box set. But they never did one of just the 3 Captain America movies. But in the UK, they did. And I went on eBay and I bought it for, I don't know, like $40 US. A week and a half later, I had it show up on my porch, and there it was. And there's all 3 of the Captain America movies on 4K Blu-ray, and they all look fantastic. Dude, Civil War looks amazing, by the way. The first Captain America looks okay. It's still good. Winter Soldier looks better. Civil War looks crystal clear. Like I was checking all the discs and stuff, and Melissa walked in. I was at the airport scene in Civil War, and Melissa came in the room, and she's like, "That's not on like cable, is it?" And I'm like, "No, it's 4K." She goes, "Yeah, it looks like really good." I'm like, "I know. We gotta rewatch these." So I keep thinking to myself, one of these like Sundays, we're gonna watch all 3 Captain Americas in order on 4K, and then I just keep forgetting, and then we're lazy, and then we watch whatever's on cable. So, okay. No bones to pick with this Tiermaker. Thank you, Miles. I know you were here for the Christopher Nolan one as well, which I just bought Tenet on 4K, which I hear that is a fantastic transfer because they filmed it with like 6K cameras, so apparently it looks crystal clear. Can't wait. I've watched that movie twice, and it's on HBO now, so you can watch it on HBO Max or just on HBO. I want to watch it on 4K. I want to watch it a third time on 4K. Yeah, that was a fun list. And know what, Mushi, don't apologize. I felt like talking about these. This is a Tiermaker list that I've wanted to do for a while. I figured I've ranked some other movies, directors' movies. We did one for Scorsese. We did one for Christopher Nolan. And then what other one did I do? The next time, oh god, I should probably do Stanley Kubrick. He's my favorite director. I should probably do a Stanley Kubrick ranking. I probably should. But for now, that's my ranking of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. All right. I'm glad you agree, Miles. I'm glad you agree, and I'm glad y'all hung out.